What's going on, guys? Welcome to Cinephellas. I am Kevin Muller, the movie guy here, and I am here with another segment, Seven with Kevin. And for one last time, you are getting 8 films. Yes, 8 films for me to talk about. As always, we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. So let's get to it. All right, so my first movie is Slaughterhouse. Now, look, I love stupid movies. I used to love watching these kind of movies on like a sci-fi channel or late night Showtime, where you would just have a really ridiculous premise and it was just fun to watch. But there's a skill to it. There is a skill, and this is where Slaughterhouse fails. For the first maybe half hour, it's pretty good, but then it just succumbs to being really stupid and really over the top. The acting's bad, the directing's bad, the writing is terrible. But it's funny because this sloth is a female and it infiltrates a sorority, and it drives a car, it makes phone calls, and kills. And there's one part in this movie that made me really crack up, and it is a very self-aware joke involving the title. But other than that, it's really stupid, it's lame, and it pretty much the joke wears out very fast. And I'm going to give this one 1.5 out of 5 sloth hair pieces. My next one is The Expendables 4. And this is such a fall from grace. I remember back in 2010 when these movies were coming out, you had Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Willis, all these great guys being in the movie. And it was so much fun to watch all these 80s icons of action team up and do their thing. But as the series progressed, it's gotten a little lamer, and this one tops it off. This is so bad. It is incredibly cheesy. It's a cheesy dad movie. And, no one seems to be like kind of into it anymore. You could just see everyone's like, okay, let's just get this over with. They can collect my paycheck. The one person who is absolutely awful in this film is Megan Fox. Megan Fox is the leader of this group of the mercenaries that have to go after the villain, who I will talk about, and that is the ultimate sin in this movie. But Megan Fox is not good in this movie. Megan Fox has not done a very good movie since 2020, 2021. It was a movie called Till Death. Check it out. I think it's on Netflix still, but if not, seek it out. It is a very good movie, and it uses Fox perfectly. But here she is flat. She is uninteresting. She is so goddamn wooden. But as I said before a little while back, the worst crime this movie commits is not using Tony Jaa. Tony Jaa of The Raid and The Raid Part 2. Fantastic action actor, fantastic stunt dude, could do karate, could do every kind of martial arts. They don't really do that much with him. And it's a shame because this movie could have been kick ass if they used him correctly. But unfortunately, this has just become a shadow of its former self. And I'm giving this one a very generous 2 out of 5. Jason Statham, I guess, wig hair pieces. All right, so the final film in the DCEU before James Gunn's Superman comes out and it kind of resets everything is Blue Beetle. And I don't think he's going to be included in the new one. I may be wrong, but I don't think. I'm like 95%. Anyway, this is an okay film. This is very reminiscent of something you've seen in the 90s. In the 90s, this movie would have been incredible, but we've advanced the superhero genre so much, the Dark Knight, the Iron Man, the MCU overall, that this one just kind of feels like a second fiddle. And director Angel Manuel Soto, who did the 2020 film Charm City Kings, very, very, very good movie, one of my favorites of that year, directs this one. And I kind of like the overall look of the film. It's a futuristic Miami, but it's not too far into the future where you think, okay, maybe I'll live to see this, everything going on here, all the holograms, the technology. Really liked what he did with that. The family dynamic is what saves this movie. I just want to give a shout out to George Lopez, Belissa Escobedo, Adriana Bezarra, and Alpida Carrillo. All play the family members. I'm sorry if I butchered that last name. But anyway, they play the family members and they give this movie the heart it really needs, because outside the family dynamic, it's just a typical action superhero movie. There's really nothing that stands about this out about this one. But the main question is what did I think of Yolo Maridueno, who is on Cobra Kai. He is the lead. Same energy here. Um, Same underdog kind of spirit. He's charming. He could do his stunts. He is the Blue Beetle, so he's probably on set. He was probably jumping around, like a skin tight green outfit. But he does give it his all. It is not a bad movie. Once again, the family dynamic is what really elevates this past something kind of basic. And I'm gonna give this one 2.5 out of 5 yellow hair pieces. Another year, another Liam Neeson film. He's really stacking these things up before he does about basically a parody of his entire career over the last like 15 years since Taken came out. But here he is not really throwing fists. He's bringing that same intensity to the story of someone who works for the government, someone who works money within the money sector of it, being trapped in the car with his 2 children in the back driving them to school. He gets a phone call saying, "Listen, there's a bomb underneath your seat. Do not get up. If you get out of the car or if they get out, it explodes." It's a typical action movie, something you would see on Showtime or any other, kind of movie channel when we were younger. And, Liam Neeson is giving it his all. He gives that intensity. But the one thing that this movie really stumbles with, and I was going to give this probably maybe a 3.5, maybe 4, I was kind of flirting with at points, but the villain reveal. The performer who is the villain in this movie absolutely sucks the energy and I guess the prestige of this movie because this performer is cheesy, not a convincing villain, and you're kind of laughing. I don't know. I was kind of laughing at this performer's performance, and you know what? This performer is a very good actor or actress. I don't want to say what sex it is, but they're good at their job, and it was very surprising seeing them do this kind of cheesy villain role. Because I'm going to give this one 3 out of 5 Liam Neeson hair pieces. An Asian female-led comedy starring Oscar-nominated actress Stephanie Hu in the cast from Everything Everywhere All at Once, or Stephanie Sue. I don't know. I'm sorry, but if I butchered your name. This film is one that doesn't take itself too seriously, but it has a solid emotional core. And the story is about 2 Asian girls, one from an Asian family and the other one adopted into a white family. So she was raised in the white culture. And they travel to Asia to, on a business trip, but at the same time, they want to find her mother. And there's a story that, connected to me because I am adopted. I was adopted into a white family. And a lot of the jokes at the expense of the character who's adopted, I've heard. And, I thought this movie had a really good, solid emotional story that was kind of cheapened by some of the humor. It seems like they were trying to be like, okay, we could keep up with the boys. We could do the disgusting stuff. And there are points in this movie I would say, like, oh my God, why are you doing this? This is so cheap. This is so disgusting. And, you don't have to do this. You have a really, really good story about like adoption and finding the parents and having a self identity. And it was funny at points without some of this disgusting stuff in it. But, Ashley Park, Sabrina Yu, Sherry Cola, and Stephanie Sue or Hugh, I'm sorry, they're all doing good work. They commit to the material. They all have good chemistry together. And on that merit, I'm gonna give this one 3 out of 5 Stephanie Hugh or Sue hair pieces. Okay, so considering what's going on in the world, politics and the war overseas, reviewing a film like Golda was maybe kind of controversial, makes this a controversial choice on this list because it is about Golda Meir, who was the prime minister in 1973 during the war on Yom Kippur. She is stubborn, she is strong-willed, but she loves her people. And it is painful to see her send her soldiers and her people into certain death. And we see a lot of these you see a lot of these scenes where she is reacting to her choices. And Helen Mirren, who plays Golda Meir, is on fire. It's Helen Mirren. It's Helen Mirren. You're not going to get a bad performance out of Helen Mirren. She is really behind the makeup. The makeup does a lot of the work, but she also adds a lot to the performance. And there are a couple of scenes in here that really hit home. They really drive the fact of how hard it is to be the leader of a country, especially a country that is at war constant war with another one for years, and it's still going on now if you read the news. Um, a very effective movie. I really enjoyed it. Not a crazy great biopic, but I know Mirren brings her all to this movie, and I am going to give this one 3 out of 5 gold in my ear hairpieces. With Ferrari, this is Michael Mann's passion project. He has not made a movie since 2015 when he did Black Hat with Chris Hemsworth about the hacking. This time he's working with Adam Driver, and it comes up with a mixed bag. We have a story about the famous creator of Ferrari, his family dynamic and his adulterous nature. We have Penelope Cruz, who seems to be doing like a heightened version of the performance that she won the Oscar for in 2008 for Vicky Cristina Barcelona. She is the very jealous wife. And the weak point of this movie is who Adam Driver as Ferrari is cheating on Penelope Cruz with is Shailene Woodley. Look, I like Shailene Woodley. She can be very good, but I just thought she was very miscast here. Maybe because Cruz and Driver are so powerful, so good in everything they do, and especially here. I just thought she was very noticeable that she's not up to par with the others. But Ferrari does have Adam Driver. Adam Driver is becoming one of my favorite actors of the generation. The guy's my age, so he has a long career ahead of him. He's just getting started, and what he's put out is great. I loved him as Ben Solo in the Star Wars movies. I thought he gave that movie a much needed effectiveness that it was lacking. Some of the sequences in this movie, the driving are fantastic. The cinematography, the intensity of all of it, especially the car crash that happens near the end of the movie, which I think would have been a much more interesting film if they focused on the after effects of what happened. But that's only like the last 20 minutes of the movie, and we're left with just like a okay family drama that you're saying like, I don't know. I was saying to myself like, this is it. This is what Michael Mann worked his ass off for and wanted to do this for like 15 to 20 years. I don't know. It was underwhelming to me, but it is very very well directed movie. And as I said, the racing sequences are very good. The cinematography is great, and that crash is insane. It's very violent. It's very chaotic. And on that merit, I'm gonna give this one 3 out of 5 Michael Mann hairpieces. Okay, now we're on to the best of these 8 that I've seen, and it is a sequel to a 2020 movie that came out, and it came out during the pandemic. I thought it was so much fun, and it is called The Wrath of Becky. And holy shit, this is such a fun movie. For you guys who didn't see the first one, we had Lulu Wilson, who you guys might remember from The Haunting of Hill House. Her and her father, Joe McHale, go vacation at this spot in the middle of the woods. And Kevin James, who plays a neo-Nazi, he was very good in that movie, comes and she basically takes them down one by one very violently. In this one, the movie makes fun of the Proud Boys, there's the January 6th kind of people. And at the head of this group in this movie is Sean William Scott. And I really enjoyed him in this movie. I thought he was a very, very convincing piece of shit. As was the followers in this movie. I would like to give a shout out to Michael Cera, Aaron Dalla Villa, Matt Angel, and Courtney Gaines, all playing really fantastic supporting characters who were just kind of lemmings. Besides, I think it was Matt Angel who played kind of the guy who was kind of sympathetic towards Becky. But the violence here is great. You see these guys get what they deserve. Lulu Wilson is fantastic in this role. She has that intensity. She has that sinister nature in her eyes. Unfortunately, this movie made no money, and I am dying. I am dying and hoping that a streamer picks this one up, because at the end of this movie opens it up to make this entire thing a franchise. And Lulu Wilson is like, I think 17 or 18 years old, and she owns this character, and I would love for her to come back. I would love to see more adventures of Becky, because it is so much fun. It is violent. It is sinister. It is very, very darkly funny. And I just think she's great in the role, and I think there's a lot of story. But so please, Netflix, Apple, Amazon, anyone, please pick the rights up to this movie, make this a whole franchise. It doesn't hit. You don't even have to release in the theaters. Just give the people, especially me, what they want, and I want more Becky. And based upon my enthusiasm, I'm gonna give this one 4 out of 5 Becky Lou Wilson hair pieces. All right, guys. So that does it for this 7 with Kevin +1. It's 8 with Kevin. This is the last time I'm going to do this with the 8. The last 2 lists are 7. I promise you. For my next review, which is a single review, I will be taking a look at a movie made and starring a famous romantic comedy icon from the 1990s. She kind of disappeared after 2003. She popped up here and there, but she's back with her own film that she wrote and directed. Check that out. Also come to the site, drop us a like, a comment. Maybe you didn't like Becky, Wrath of Becky. Maybe you're like, oh, Kev, that was a crap movie. What are you thinking about it? Maybe you agree with me. Maybe you thought like, oh my God, somebody finally saw that movie besides me. Again, please go see The Wrath of Becky. Fantastic movie. And come visit us, cinephellas.com, latest in TV, movies, and video games. Come to watch the podcast. We always like people, tuning in to see, what we have to say about everything. We haven't done one in a while. We will be doing one soon. And find us on Instagram and Twitter as well. Thanks for watching. Again, I am Kevin Muller. And as we say on the website, cheers.